Hello everyone. Let's get started with our practice. Today we are going to start in child's pose. So coming onto your knees, we'll bring our big toes together to touch. The knees can be together for more support, hip width for something a little more medium, or you can open the knees a little wider than the hips for a bit of a deeper stretch. So we'll sit back towards our heels and fold the torso out long over the thighs, letting the arms reach out in front of you with the palms facing down. Relax your arms, your elbows, your shoulders. Let your forehead really rest down, even if you need to prop it up on a pillow or a yoga block. And let your hips be heavy. Don't worry if they touch your heels or not. Just focus on the lengthening that you're bringing into the back of your body. Feeling free always to use any blankets or cushions that you see necessary here for the most comfort in the posture. We really want to be able to be comfortable here in our first pose so that we can allow our day to let go a little bit and really be present here on our mat. So take your time to invite your breath into the back of your body and just begin to turn your awareness to how you're feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally. Today's intention is to let go of what doesn't serve you, such as fear, doubt, or judgment, in order to live and experience your life more fully. We can use our practice to help clear and reset our mind, and we'll be practicing a warrior pose today to help us find that peaceful warrior energy that's within all of us, where we can embody courage and harmony. So let's go ahead and get started. Here in our child's pose, we'll just walk our hands over to the right side of your mat or your space. Really try to reach your left fingers out a little further than your right ones so you get a nice stretch for the left side of your body. And imagine that your breath is weaving through the left ribs on the left side. If you'd like a little more, you can stack left palm over top of right. Take a nice deep breath here. Perfect. We'll use an inhale to walk those hands back through center. And as you exhale, begin to walk the hands over to the left side. Perhaps reaching out through those right fingertips a little bit more. Or if it felt nice, maybe right palm stacks over the left as you really anchor your right hip back towards your right heel. So you can breathe into the maximum space on the right side. Take a nice deep breath here. And then we'll use an inhale to walk those hands back through center. And an exhale to just pause in our child's pose and thinking about our intention of where do we might want to see some more courage in our life? Where do we want to see a little bit more balance or harmony in our life? And just inviting that in here, whatever resonates with you, so we can really bring it to life with our practice today. On an inhale, let's come up into tabletop on all fours. So we'll align the knees under the hips, the wrists under the shoulders, making sure fingers are spreading wide to support the wrists. And on the inhale, we'll drop our belly down for cow, reaching the heart forward, lifting the tailbone, using your exhale to push the ground away and round your back into cat, head down. So a couple more times to wake up the spine. We'll inhale cow, drop the belly, reach to chest. And exhale cat to round the back, drop the head. Good, lengthening the breath. One more, inhaling for cow. And exhaling for your cat back. Awesome. Let's inhale into a flat back here, a nice neutral spine. And exhale to walk those hands just about a half of a handprint forward for your downward dog. So either pointer finger or middle finger facing straight ahead, fingers spreading wide. We'll tuck our toes and rise the knees, rise the hips up, downward facing dog, upside down V shape. Beginning to bend one knee and then the other as you get here, just kind of pedaling out your legs to wake up your first downward facing dog. We're going to do a few of these today in our practice, so just notice how the first one feels, and every time we revisit this pose, see if it becomes a little more easy, a little bit more comfortable for you, and just kind of seeing how downward dog might turn into a resting pose a little bit more over the course of this practice. On your next inhale, send your gaze forward toward your hands, and as you exhale, work on a stiff leg, maybe a flat foot walk of your feet forward to meet your hands. It doesn't have to be perfect, just something to wake up your hamstrings. And once you've made it, feet under hips, we'll inhale, lift halfway, hands to shins, making straight arms and a straight back. It's okay if the knees are bent. Exhaling to fold into your standing forward bend. So we want a good, generous bend in the knees here for the first one, as we let the torso hang heavy. So we really want here to imagine the sitting bones really going up and back. Right? Lengthening the sitting bones up away from the heels, even if the knees are bent, right? So that we can really invert the spine. It might help to hold opposite elbows. You may even like a nice gentle sway side to side. So taking a moment here to let gravity really help lengthen your spine. Good job. As you're ready, release your grip. Let your arms just dangle down long. Bend your knees a good amount, and we'll press to the feet to really slowly roll up to standing. We don't want to go too quickly because we don't want to get dizzy or lightheaded. So just really nice and gentle, feeling the spine stack upright. So when you get to the top, just letting those shoulders roll back and down and shining your palms to face forward, fingers spreading wide as we find our mountain pose. So toes spreading wide, really rooting down to rise up through the heart, up through the crown. The chin is a little tucked here and the navel pulls in and up towards the spine. I like to think about mountain pose as that peaceful warrior energy already right here, right? Think about a mountain. It just sits there and overlooks everything in the valley, right? So just taking a moment to really just observe, just to be here with courage and patience as we observe ourselves here in this pose. Really observe the moment. And so the next pose we're going to do is really just like our mountain pose, but we'll be doing it on one leg. So this will turn us into tree pose. And the same thing, this kind of idea of a patient tree just in the forest, just observing, just witnessing what is in the moment. So let's go ahead and spread our right toes wide onto the mat. And we'll lift our left leg into tree. In tree pose, you can come up any amount you'd like. So some of you may like a kickstand for your left foot into your inner right ankle. Some of you may like to work on more balance by lifting left foot into inner right calf. Or if you do want to take it up higher, just skip your knee. We don't want to press the foot directly into the knee just to keep the knee protected. So you can use your hand and bring it up into your inner thigh if you'd like. Sealing hands to heart center to help really connect with that midline, that mid line of energy. And finding a nice steady gaze about 8 to 10 feet on the ground in front of you on something that's not moving. Feeling free to stay here, or if you feel pretty good here, you might inhale, reach your arms up for the sky, and exhale, relax your shoulders down away from your ears, really broadening the chest here and finding your balance in tree pose. Taking another breath in, really filling this pose up with life and energy. And as you exhale, releasing the hands, releasing that left foot down to meet the right, maybe shaking it out a little bit. And we'll reset in our mountain pose. So just standing tall, nice proud open chest, palms facing forward. Taking a breath to reset. Good, so let's go ahead and take it into the other side. We'll go ahead and find either that kickstand with the right foot in the inner left ankle, or maybe the right foot comes up into the inner calf or all the way up into the inner thigh. So setting the foundation here in our tree trunk and sealing hands together into prayer in front of your heart. Finding that drishti or that focused gaze set out in front of you on the ground. And really trying to open up the hips or the front of the pelvis here. So you want to really press that right knee back a little bit to help really open up the front body. If you'd like, you can use that inhale to reach the arms all the way up. Palms facing inward. We'll exhale, relax the shoulders down away from the ears. We'll take a few breaths here. If it's really easy for you and you want more challenge, feel free to work on closing your eyes. Remember, at the beginning of our practice, we let go of fear or doubt or judgment of ourselves. So if you fall out of the pose, you're only human. That is totally normal, and you can fall out as many times as you need and come back in with that courage and that strength. Nice job. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, we'll release hands, release the feet down, and reset here in our mountain pose, really opening up the heart to what is. Next inhale, we'll sweep those arms out and all the way up for the sky. Maybe you look up or even take a little back bend. And as you exhale, a little bend in the knees, we'll swan dive, leading with the heart as we fold forward over our legs. Using an inhale, we'll take hands to shins, rising halfway into that flat back, parallel to the ground. And then exhale, we're going to place our hands outside of our feet. Maybe fingertips, maybe you're using yoga blocks or something to support the hands and bring the ground to you. As you step your left foot all the way back, as far back as it can go, we're going to drop our left knee down and feel free to give it a cushion. Maybe that's a blanket or even a doubled up mat under your knee. Totally optional, but it feels good. Right? We'll untuck our back toes and we'll make sure that our front knee is at a 90-degree bend. So sometimes you may have to kind of inchworm those toes forward. We want that perfect stack of knee over ankle in the front to help keep the knee protected. If this is enough here, work on staying here and lengthening your spine, like you're trying to reach your heart a little bit forward and up. Or if you'd like more, you may like to try climbing your hands up onto your right thigh, rolling those shoulders back and really opening the chest to see how that feels here in your low lunge pose. Just the option, if you'd like, you can inhale, reach the arms all the way up for the sky. So find your expression here. That's what this practice is all about, is using the pose to really authentically experience yourself and what feels good in the moment. Noticing that nice stretch here for the left hip flexor, the front of that left hip, as we have a nice strong pressure through the front foot so that we don't overstretch here. We don't want to over sink into the hips, right? A little pull away, maybe you're about 90% into the stretch so we don't overdo it. So we'll take another inhale where we are. And as you exhale, you can release those hands, maybe fingertips back down or using your blocks. And we're going to tuck our back toes under and lift our back knee away from the ground. So coming into a runner's lunge, nice fired up back leg, nice long spine here, heart reaching forward. And we want to spiral our back heel down at a 45-degree angle for warrior one. So if you're like me, you probably have to hop your foot in just about a footprint. We don't want to go in too much here with our stance, but somewhere where we can feel really rooted and anchored through our back heel. And once you've found that, you can press through strong legs. Maybe you need to climb up your right thigh to rise all the way up into your standing warrior one pose. So we'll take our arms up by the ears, palms facing one another, to help roll the shoulders down to make the neck nice and long. So this big pose today is our warrior one. So we want to find that courage here that helps us to peacefully propel forward in a positive light. You can always cactus open your elbows if your shoulders feel tight here. This is also just a nice expression to help open your heart. Or you can always keep hands into a prayer in front of your heart or reach that prayer for the sky. We'll inhale in our warrior front knee over ankle, and we'll exhale hands coming down, and we'll step back into our downward facing dog to reset. So maybe pedaling those legs out a little bit or wagging your tail in your downward dog. Just have fun with it. Really embody the energy that you want to radiate out. On our next inhale, we'll send the gaze forward. And as you exhale, begin maybe just 2 steps. See how little of amount of steps you can take to bring your feet forward to meet your hands. And once you get there, we'll inhale hands to shins, finding that nice halfway lift. And as you exhale, a deeper fold, let your head drop down. Good, inhale one more time, halfway lift, making that nice flat back. And as you exhale, we'll plant our hands on either side of our feet again, so we can do low lunge on the other side. So begin to bend those knees and step far back with your right foot. And we'll lower our right knee down and untuck our right toes. So feeling free to cushion that back knee. We want it to be as far behind the hip as feels okay for our body, so we get that nice juicy hip flexor stretch in the front of that right hip. Make sure that you position your left foot enough forward to where your knee is stacked over your ankle and you have a 90-degree bend in that front knee. And then feeling free here to climb up onto the left thigh, maybe pausing there to help roll the shoulders back and puff up the chest. And maybe if you'd like, hands can rise up, or you can always take the arm variation of your choice. So as we're here, we want to think about pressing our outer right hip forward and pulling our left hip back a bit. So there's this kind of magnetism at the inner thighs, and it kind of pulls us that little 10% out of the pose, right? So that we're not over collapsing all of our weight into our hips, right? There's a little active energy, a little active inward hug to help really allow your spine to lengthen up out of your hips. So breathing into that heat that's building in the hips here in the lower body. We'll inhale. And as you exhale, we'll take those hands back down, tuck the back toes under, and lift the back knee up for runner's lunge, really finding a straight line from the back heel all the way out through the heart. We'll begin to spiral our back heel down to the mat, coming into our warrior one stance. So remember, you can shorten the stance, but try not to shorten it too much. And once that back heel is rooted, we'll rise all the way up into our warrior one. So reaching arms up tall, feeling free to find that cactus or keeping the hands shoulder width, or even taking palms together to touch. Your practice, your pose. Finding a steady gaze wherever you are, and really trying to be with this pose for a moment, to witness it as it comes, as whatever arises for you, being present. Taking a couple of patient breaths here. Beautiful. One more inhale in your warrior one. And as you exhale, we'll take those hands down to frame that front foot, and we'll step it back into our downward dog. So just like I said, a lot of downward dogs today. This is actually our last one. So we'll take a moment to kind of wiggle our way into stillness, move our way into some stillness here, and notice how you feel. Working on that nice straight line from your wrists up through your shoulders, up through your hips, letting your head fall in line with your spine. Good, we'll take one more inhale. And as you exhale, letting those knees come down, you can rest in child's pose, right back to where we started. So a good reminder of how everything is always changing, right? The first time we came here probably felt a lot different than how we feel right now. So the unfolding of our practice can remind us of the impermanence that is in our life, the ever-changing energy and dynamics of our life. As you're ready here, we'll begin to walk the hands in towards the body to rise up to sitting, and we'll swoop the legs out in front of us. You want to have space to lay down, so scooting forward a little bit, tucking the tailbone, we'll begin to reach the arms forward and trying to use our core. We're going to go really slow as we roll down nice and gentle onto our back, one vertebrae at a time. As you've made it down to your back, we're going to do one inversion. It's like a restorative inversion pose. So this should be just really nice for the lower back to decompress and also to reverse the blood flow in the legs. So this is really good for circulation and digestion. So we'll place something under our lower back, really under our hips, you can think about. So this might be a yoga block or a nice sturdy textbook. If you have a pillow or a folded blanket, this will work as well. Or you can simply place your hands underneath your lower back. The more support you have and the harder that support is, the more firm you might get. You might not have to use your core as much, right, to lift your legs. So feel free to also turn to a wall if there's one by you and simply place your legs up the wall. So once you've got something under your hips or the wall beside you, we'll go ahead and lift our legs coming into waterfall. So for this inversion, we want to be in basically an L shape. So a lot of times when we lift the legs, the feet come just a little bit too close in towards the face. So I like to think about pressing my heels just a little forward so that they're directly over the hips, and this should give you a nice release in your lower back. You don't have to do anything here, and don't worry if the legs aren't straight. It's as long as you have the feet kind of up to the feet are the highest point of your body, this should be totally fine. Letting the blood flow kind of recirculate. Taking some deep breaths here. Good. And then as you are ready, just releasing those feet down. And I'm going to give you the option today if you want to do your relaxation here in this restorative bridge pose with the block under your hips. You're welcome to stay here. If we have this variation, we do want to keep our knees bent. So you can just wiggle your feet about mat width distance apart and let the knees fall in to rest on one another. Or keep the feet hip width, the knees hip width. If you'd rather, you can release the block out from underneath you and lay flat on your mat. So we'll take a few moments here to relax and let this final relaxation or shavasana just be a time to soak in the experience that we just created for ourselves. Let the arms either fall open or the hands rest on the body. Close your eyes, and I'll be back with you in a few moments to complete our practice. And as you are ready, you can slowly begin to deepen your breath, bringing your awareness back into your body. We'll roll out our wrists, maybe roll out the ankles. You can take the prop out from underneath you if you do have something there. And take a nice full body stretch as you extend your arms overhead and the legs out long in front, reawakening. And then we'll bend our knees and just gently roll over onto the right side just for a moment to pause before returning all the way up into a nice, comfortable, easy seat, sitting up nice and tall through the spine. We'll collect hands together into a prayer in front of the heart. And thank you so much for taking this time to practice with me today. The light in me sees and honors the light within you. Namaste.